This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. We are back during our normal time slot after a week of intense impeachment coverage. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it was last week on this show. Intense impeachment coverage. Unfortunately, we're still going to be talking about impeachment. We've got several clips to play. Perhaps Mitch McConnell's speech that we're going to play here in just a second is helping to facilitate the rift inside of the Republican Party. It would seem that's the case, judging by what Lindsey Graham and Senator Ron Johnson's Senators Lindsey Graham and Ron Johnson had to say. Okay, that's exactly right. Let's go ahead and get to it. That's the first thing on the docket for today. McConnell's speech after the vote to acquit. If those of you who might be living under a rock might not know, Donald Trump was acquitted in the Senate trial over the weekend. This was Ms. McConnell's remarks.
Disgrace. American citizens attacked their own government. They used terrorism to try to stop a specific piece of domestic business they did not like.
Constitutionally mandated.
And bloodied our own police. They stormed the Senate floor. They tried to hunt down the Speaker of the House. They built a gallows and chanted about murdering.
Now, I've only heard people's reactions to this speech. I've not actually heard this speech yet. This is the first time I'm hearing it, and I'm actually, even after hearing people's, summations of it, I'm amazed he went into that sort of detail. This is the strongest terms I've ever heard McConnell use towards his base.
Vice President.
Well, I guess Trump's base. He's trying to separate the two.
Because they'd been fed wild falsehoods by the most powerful man on earth. Because he was angry he'd lost an election.
That's what we've all been saying.
President Trump's actions preceded the riot for a disgraceful dereliction of duty.
That was in the charge. That was in the charges you voted on.
Incitement. That is a specific term from the criminal law. Let me just put that aside for a moment and reiterate something I said weeks ago. There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it.
Sir, do you know what you just voted on? What you just voted no on? Just moments before you said that. What?
The people who stormed this building believed they were acting on the wishes and instructions of their president.
He's not Dianne Feinstein. He's not Patrick Leahy. He knows where he's at.
It was a foreseeable consequence of the growing
Holy
crescendo of false statements, conspiracy theories, and reckless hyperbole, which the defeated president kept shouting into the largest megaphone on planet.
I don't know.
The issue is not only the president's intemperate language on January 6th.
You're going to say it was unconstitutional to impeach a president that already left
his
office.
Endorsement of remarks,
I assume,
in which an associate urged, quote, trial by combat.
He's the reason. If that's the case, then he's the one that stopped
The increasingly wild myths
Oh no, are we gonna have to go over there?
About a reverse landslide election that was somehow being stolen. Some secret coup by our now president. Now, I defended the president's right to bring any complaints to our
If I thought I could stand a chance at talking to her, I would just stop this show dead in its tracks. And we would go on over there. But we've got a lot of shit to cover. Because boy, would I like to have an argument with that woman. I think we all would. Yeah, but I don't want to just argue in the comments. I would like to actually get her attention. You know me. I want to hop in the Discord. I want to show you guys something. Ah! More on sneaks. I've been keeping an eye all weekend. Like, when are you going to approve them? I want my trolls. I want to go into other people's rooms and use my trolls. You guys should have never informed me of this. I'm going to go nuts. Anyway, let's hear what Senator Ron Johnson had to say in response to Mitch McConnell. Because apparently... See, I thought that Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader. Or, I'm sorry, Senate Minority Leader. That he was the leader of the Republican caucus in the Senate. But it would appear, according to Senator Ron Johnson, that Mitch McConnell is not the leader of the Senate Republican caucus.
Republicans did vote to convict Trump of inciting the riot. What's your response to those votes or your argument to those colleagues?
Well, Leader McConnell said it's a vote of conscience, so I guess those people voted their conscience, and they just don't have the same viewpoint I have. And I listened to Lindsey Graham yesterday on Fox News Sunday, and I pretty well associate myself with his comments. I mean, you've got Leader McConnell voting not guilty, not to convict, but then just providing a scathing speech on the floor of the Senate that does not reflect, I think, the majority of our conference. So I haven't done a whip check to find out exactly how everybody thinks, but you can kind of put two and two together by the...
I thought he was going to say didn't reflect the comments that he made on the floor. His comments didn't reflect the vote that he cast. But he's saying that, and he's right, apparently, that McConnell's comments do not reflect the majority of the Republican caucus.
By the votes, and so you got our leader out there really representing himself, and that's his right to do. But at the same time, he has to realize, as our leader, what he says reflects on us.
Right. He's representing the entire caucus.
Yes. What he says reflects on you. He's doing that so he can get the corporate money flowing back into the Republican Party because you guys fucked it up.
Like it. What?
He's representing the entire caucus, yeah. So you obviously didn't like him stepping up and saying it. Where do you think this leaves the Republican Party? Because you have, again, the mainstream media just feeds off this stuff. One of their big narratives today as well, this has at least further divided the Republican Party. I mean, look at Mitch.
No,
let's hope.
From our standpoint, we've got to understand what is at stake here.
We're rooting for it.
Look at the radical agenda that is going to be enacted now. There's not much we can do about this, either through regulatory reform, regulatory putting that into hyperdrive again, increased regulations, and what they'll do through reconciliation. So we need to realize that's going to be the consequences of us losing this.
Once again, regulations is another one of those things where right-wingers throw that out, and I'm like, hey, can you name one of these regulations that's so bad? What give me like your top one that you think is bad. They never can name a single regulation. It's just this nefarious, omniscient thing that's floating around. Regulations. It's like thetans or something. Fucking shit. Now, he referenced Lindsey Graham's comments. Let's listen to what Mr. Graham, who is now under investigation by the state of Georgia. Let's hear what he had to say about Mitch McConnell's comments. I believe this was on Fox News Sunday. I do believe.
Acquittal yesterday, and if so, what was his reaction?
Yeah, I spoke to him last night. He was grateful to his lawyers. He appreciated the help that all of us provided. You know, he's ready to move on and rebuild the Republican.
Iraq issued one. Oh, I did not know that.
And I'm going to go down to talk with him.
Please, let's ship him over.
And I said, Mr. President, this MAGA movement needs to continue. We need to unite the party. Trump plus is the way back.
Oh, I missed that completely, but you know, we had a lot of shit going on.
I understand that. My goal is to win in 2022 to stop the most radical agenda I've seen.
Let's hope they don't.
Presidency of Joe Biden. We can't do that without Donald Trump, so he's ready to hit the trail, and I'm ready to work with him.
Now it was just a few weeks ago, and I should have dug up the video. Like Lindsey Graham after the Capitol insurrection, the day or two after, like went to the floor and was like, if I'd known it was going to end like this, I would have never done it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
and here he is.
Storm in a week.
I don't even know what the fuck is going on now. And here he is, still sucking Trump cock after he's like, I'd never do that again. If this was the way that was going to end, Fox, what the fuck is up with your website? I think we got a couple of sheriffs in here.
But I heard this in 1998.
No, there's nobody getting rowdy in here right now except for me. And I keep getting timed out in other people's streams. My apologies for my bad behavior. I'm a nightmare for other mods. Fucking Fox, play!
I'm sorry about that, but the bottom line, in 1998, you had a lot of Democrats quit Clinton, but got on the floor and said how bad he was. So, you know, Nancy Pelosi called us all cowards. I don't think most Republicans care what she thinks. And I think Senator McConnell's speech, he got a load off his chest, obviously. But unfortunately, he put a load on the back of Republicans. That speech you will see in 2022 campaigns. I would imagine if you're a Republican running
Good.
in Arizona or Georgia or New Hampshire, where we have a chance to take back the Senate, they may be playing Senator McConnell's speech. And
She was right on that point. Broken clock.
And I imagine if you're an incumbent Republican, there are going to be people.
You're right. I'm never sorry for my behavior. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying not to go into people like I want to work with other streamers and shit. I don't want to fucking. I don't want to piss people off. But now, unlike Lindsey Graham, there are principled Republicans, apparently. Nobody expected Senator Cassidy from Louisiana to vote to convict, but he did. Here he is, telling the truth.
Our Constitution and our country is more important than any one person. I voted to convict President Trump because he is guilty. Our Constitution and our
That was the statement!
than any one person. I voted to convict President Trump because he is guilty. Our Constitution and our country is more important than any one person. I voted to convict President Trump because he is guilty.
If this continues that rift down the Republican Party, I mean, I would hope that a Democrat could take that seat. I don't like that's the thing is like I don't think a Democrat's going to take it. Like the more likely scenario is that he would get primaried from the right, and an even worse fucking vampire takes his seat. You wouldn't want that now, would you? Now, it was reported that several senators doodled, didn't pay attention during the proceedings. Joe Scarborough, one of them was Josh Hawley. Joe Scarborough buried Hawley in a scathing rant. You are actually the person who led the insurrection. So I assume this is a clip of Joe Amiga from the Morning Joe program.
We're listening to this and watching it, some of it for the first time. Can you imagine one of them sitting in the gallery with his feet up, reading magazines?
Kennedy already has a seat, though.
During
Shit.
this
He is, oh my God, that man.
happened to our U.S. Capitol that day.
Well, you have people that are clearly unfit.
Did you ever think that you could meet somebody that was more Lindsey Graham than Lindsey Graham? Oh, did Ninja get hit by the storm? I'm supposed to be getting hit by the storm right now. Apparently, it is passed over us. They were expecting real snow here for the first time ever, and we got some ice. We got an ice storm or something today. It looked weird outside. We're going to go over some... Exactly, it snowed in Louisiana. It snowed in Texas. We just got ice here in Alabama. But we were supposed to be prepared for 3 to fucking 5 inches. That never happens here. Ever. Apparently, the southern part of the state is under a tornado warning. I'm still under a ice storm warning, I think, right now. Fucking crazy ass climate change weather. That's all it is. Anyway, back to Scarborough. We're going to talk about some weather here in just a little bit. I've got some crazy fucking videos of people slipping and sliding.
And that was Josh Hawley.
And unfit to serve in the United States Capitol.
Yes. Yes, he is unfit to serve.
And of course, if you're Josh Hawley, you actually are the person who led the insurrection. You're the person most responsible, other than Donald Trump, for that insurrection. You're the person most responsible for a police officer being beaten to death. You're the person most responsible for the cop killing, for the cop beating, for the...
Now, I do want to point out to people who may not know, Joe Scarborough was a Republican representative. He was a Republican member of Congress back in the 90s. So he's a establishment good old boy from way back. So for him to be saying this means a lot. So maybe there is some popular disdain and backlash coming Hawley's way. However, apparently he had his best fundraising month ever. And that speaks to the sad state of affairs in this country. Oh, wow. I did not see that Vice piece. We do have a Vice piece that I'm really looking forward to, that I've been waiting on you guys to read with you, that we're going to go over here in just a little bit. When we get to I'm thinking about naming my, police blotter section of the show, like Pig's Gonna Pig or something like that. Have a pig in a cop hat run across the screen, Oh yeah, that did happen. They interviewed a leftist and he gave the same arguments any right-winger would give, and the next day the cop showed up and just killed him indiscriminately, right in his driveway, before he ever knew what was going on, apparently. That it wasn't a raid, it wasn't a try to serve a warrant, it was a death squad pulling up and killing somebody.
Let's get right into...
So, this, if you have not seen this video yet, this happened on Saturday, shortly after the acquittal. It is fucked. It was some absolute bullshit. And then the way the Trump administration bragged about it afterwards. And used it for fodder at rallies. Fascist as fuck. But this is Michael van der Veen appearing on the news shortly after wrapping up the trial. This is CBS. This is batshit. You're going to love it.
That we heard from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He ended the trial with this passionate speech about President Trump's involvement in the insurrection. During it, he said that the former president is still liable for everything he did during his period in office. Are you expecting to face more charges against Mr. Trump in the near future?
As if he would still be representing Trump.
No, that's just political rhetoric, and I was hopeful that something would come out of this, that the political rhetoric would stop out of Washington, D.C.
As somebody brought up in Egoplex's chat last night, political rhetoric from Washington, who would have expected
those
it?
Words coming from the leader of the Republican Party in the Senate.
I'm not surprised to hear a politician say anything at all. No.
Well, throughout the
He's calm right now and docile, but hold on just one second.
In inciting the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, you argued, first of all, that there was no insurrection, but during your closing arguments, you seemingly admitted that there was, in fact, an insurrection, using that word, saying that was not up for debate. What role did the former president play?
You didn't understand the case. I used the word
I'll give you the opportunity to
insurrection
clarify, sir.
Sure. I used the word insurrection in my closing argument when quoting the charging documents. What happened at the Capitol on January 6th is absolutely horrific. But what happened at the Capitol during this trial was not too far away from that. The prosecutors in this case doctored evidence. They did not investigate this case, and when they had...
That's a hell of a lot of hyperboles, sir.
...of the Senate to put their case on, because they hadn't done any investigation, they doctored evidence. It was absolutely shocking, I think, when we discovered it and we were able to expose it and put it out.
Now, I still, according to a Hill article, a staffer for the Democrats basically said it was something with the archival procedure with Twitter, that they stand by everything that they showed was correct. Van der Veen is only taking issue with a check mark. And, apparently a date was wrong, but, the date was wrong on the picture, but the tweet actually happened when they said it happened. The date was just wrong. The staffer chalked it up to something with the archival process at Twitter. That's the best I can get. I figured it was something like where maybe they had a template of a graphic and they just cut the inside of it out and put it in or something like that and had the check mark. I thought that was, and it wasn't a screenshot, but apparently they're blaming it on Twitter. But the substance of the tweets were correct.
I think it turned a lot of senators. The American people should not be putting up...
It didn't turn anybody.
They need to look at who these House managers were and look to see whether these are the folks they want representing them. It was shocking to me. Wouldn't have believed it.
Let's follow up with a point that you're making right now.
So here we go.
House managers, as you say, doctoring evidence, and the argument.
They didn't deny it.
For our viewers,
they didn't deny it. I put it in front of them 3 times.
To be clear for our viewers, what you're talking.
Now they just really didn't address it. They just kind of shrugged it off. They never the tweets were correct. But she asked the most innocuous question here. Now, right-wing media shared this shit out and said, he destroyed mainstream media. A chud actually tagged me in a post and said, you should play this clip on your show. And I said, sir, I've already got this clip bookmarked to play on my show. Of course I'm going to play this clip on my show. This motherfucker looks like a petulant child that has no fucking clue what he's talking about. He's getting ready to throw a fucking fit on national TV.
Talking about now is a check mark. That's a verification on Twitter that did not exist on that particular tweet. A 2020 that should have actually read 2021. And the selective editing, you say, of the tapes. Is that how? Is that the doctored evidence of what you're speaking?
That's not enough for you? That's not enough for you?
Are you saying it's fine? That's not enough for you?
I am not a juror in this trial. What I'm trying to be clear for our viewers is what you're referring to, because not everybody has been following.
It's not okay
not everybody,
to doctor
sir,
a little bit of evidence.
Respectfully. I have not said it is. I have not said it is okay.
Ma'am, your question is
I want to be clear for our viewers.
Listen, what has to happen is
he's just dripping with self-righteous indignation.
The media has to start telling the right story in this country. The media is trying to divide this country. You are bloodthirsty for ratings, and as such...
The media and not your client, who consistently told a complete fabrication in the hopes of being able to overturn a democratic election. You think the media is trying to divide the country?
You're asking questions now that are already set up with a fact pattern.
That's what he's wanting.
You would
yes.
ask me a question indicating that it's all right just to doctor a little bit of evidence. There's more stuff that we uncovered that they doctored, to be frank with you, and perhaps that will come out one day. But we won this case.
It's also another Republican tactic.
But what happened?
Oh, there was more.
I should say.
You should see it.
What should happen is somebody should look at the conduct of these House managers. It's unconscionable, aside from all of the due process violations that my client had. And the media should be looking at a square, straight way. The straight way. When I watch the news,
not a gay way.
I watch one station and it's raining. I watch another station at the same time and it's sunny. Your coverage is so slanted.
That's not the only place Biden has taken some shitty positions.
Stop and start reporting more like PBS.
Trying to stick his nose in Ecuador as well.
A TV news show that doesn't have any journalistic integrity at all. What I'm telling you is that they doctored evidence.
Square Straight.
I believe your question says...
That's that place. Square Straight is the sponsor of this show, and that's where you need to go if you need to create a website with pizzazz. That's a joke. Some, like, those of you hardcore podcast listeners, YouTubers, might get what I'm talking about. But yeah, the Biden's foreign policy, and believe me, I was under no illusion that Biden's foreign policy was going to suck ass. And it has thus far.
Year of a date here. They switched the date of a Twitter a year.
Is GeoCities even a thing still?
To this case. That's not a small thing, ma'am. The other thing they did is they put a check mark on something to make it look like it was a validated account when it wasn't. And when they were caught, they didn't say anything about it.
And then my guess on that was that they received their check mark since all this, since they became like a public figure or something, because they got cut off in all this. They got a check mark and got verified through Twitter somehow. That was my guess, and that they went back and took the screenshot after they got the check mark. And they didn't have a check mark originally. But like, do you think this motherfucker even knows how Twitter works? They're now in the Illuminati. Don't some conspiracy theorists say that kind of shit?
They didn't even try to come up with an excuse about it. And that's not the way our prosecutors or our government officials should be conducted.
Apparently the blue checks on Twitter run everything, including the tech companies.
Get away with it either. I'm tired of the biased media on both sides, left and right. What this country wants, what this country needs, is this country to come together, to take the left and the right and find a middle ground and start responsibly being our public officials, our elected officials. And one of the reasons why they do it is because of the media, because the media wants to tell their narrative rather than just telling it like it is. And frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm not a media. I'm not in front of your cameras all the time. But what
right.
We can tell.
I understand. I understand, and I've given you the opportunity.
You don't want to hear the truth. Yeah. Okay.
I've given you the opportunity.
She handled this really well.
What I said was that for our viewers who have not been following all of the hours of this trial,
like us,
clear about what you are speaking about, and I understand.
I'm speaking of fucking masochists that sat through this whole fucking charade.
That's what I'm telling
and
you. They weren't able to prove their case.
Acquittal. You have won the acquittal of your client.
Yes,
and if you'd
I
like
did.
to continue to talk about this conversation, we can have that discussion.
I don't need to.
But for me to ask a question, to clarify for our viewers,
a slanted question that was set up to say it's okay for them to cheat. That was your.
No. It's not. He's accusing her of a loaded question fallacy. But she didn't do that. She was asking him to clarify what his insinuation was about them doctoring evidence. And then he threw that red herring in there, like, oh, well, how much is enough for you? Like, it's a complete distraction because he can't win on the merits of his argument.
Your question. Isn't it okay for them to cheat?
I didn't.
I guess that's why he was a good lawyer for Trump.
You said, to be fair, it was only a check on the Twitter. That's what you said. You got to live by your words. That's the problem. The media has to start living by the truth and not try to create a narrative.
Michael Vanderveen.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. I do appreciate.
Citizen.
Yep.
Okay. I see you taking off your microphone now. That was President Trump's defense attorney, Michael Vanderveen.
I love that she laughed at him. I don't think she said to be fair. He was a shit lawyer, but like, I don't know about shit lawyer. Like, he was good at fucking circular reasoning and throwing dirty rhetorical tricks out there. He was what Trump needed in that situation. For the moment, Michael Vanderveen was exactly what Trump needed. And compared with Castor and Schoen, like, fuck, that motherfucker was an all-star. Yeah, there you go, Scrappy. You're exactly right. Fuck, I don't remember how... Oh. I do remember. So Tucker had a bunch of shit to say about the impeachment trial, and I really liked this tweet by Andrew Lawrence here that says, this is InfoWars shit, just a completely batshit conspiracy theory blasted into your Meemaw's face. Oh, since my Meemaw did indeed used to watch Fox News. Seriously, fuck this place.
What does all of this mean exactly? We're not sure what it means, and we're not going to speculate. We do know for certain.
Ooh, when has Tucker ever refused to speculate on something? Tucker, that's all he ever does is speculate. That's how you know Trump is guilty as fuck. If Tucker's refusing to speculate, oh, we got to wait for all the facts on this one. That's how cut and dry it is.
Of what happened on January 6th deviate in very important ways from the story they are now telling us, including the story they told us today in the impeachment hearings. And in many places, the known facts bear no resemblance to the story they're telling. They're just flat out lying. There's no question about that.
This is my Tucker
The question
face.
is, why would they lie about this? For an answer, think back to last spring. Beginning on Memorial Day, BLM and their sponsors in corporate America completely changed this country. They changed this country more in 5
Oh my God, SNL opened with a skit, and the opening was, oh God, what's that guy's name? He was fantastic as Tucker. Holy shit. Knocked it out of the park. He nailed everything about Tucker's mannerisms, the way Tucker speaks. Go watch that skit on YouTube. For certain, he never knows anything other than he's a man of the people. Everyday man.
Months that it had changed in the previous 50 years. How'd they do that? They used the sad death of a man called George Floyd to upend our society. Months later, we learned that the story...
We got a story about George Floyd coming up.
...was an utter lie.
Apparently, the LAPD
that George Floyd was murdered by a
has
cop.
a warped sense of humor.
The autopsy showed that George Floyd almost certainly died of a drug overdose.
That's not true.
But by that point, facts didn't matter. It was too late.
It's weird to say facts don't matter after you just fucking lied straight up.
Had been killed. Democratic partisans used a carefully concocted myth, a lie, to bum rush America into overturning the old order.
Like, seriously, they run with anything. Like them saying Eric Swalwell is like having an affair with that Chinese spy. That was never anywhere in that story. She was like a low-level volunteer in his campaign. She had an affair with a bunch of Midwestern politicians that I almost guarantee are going to turn out to be Republicans. But that just one little kernel of a fact, right-wingers have run with. I've seen memes with Swalwell and the Chinese woman, like Valentine's shit about him. I'm like, that was never accused at all. And just like Tucker here, like trace amounts of amphetamine in George Floyd's system, which could have been fucking Benadryl or whatever the fucking, because the dude had COVID. There's like respiratory medicines that have amphetamine in them, sinus medicine and shit. It was just trace amounts, but that little kernel of truth, trace amounts of amphetamines that weren't even necessarily illegal drugs, has turned into he more than likely died of a drug overdose. But facts don't matter to these people, is what Tucker says. I can't stand this blatant dishonesty. Yeah, Sudafed, there you go. Oh, I have heard Trevor Noah's impression of Trump. He does get the cadence perfectly. Like nothing else sounds Trumpy about it, but he gets that cadence perfect. You are correct about that. So this is what we don't want to speculate about the Capitol that we all witnessed, that we all saw, that we've seen people say for a fact that they were there in support of Trump, that Trump told them to be there, that they were following his orders. But Tucker can't fucking speculate. But he doesn't give a shit to tie it into something that has nothing to do with it. George Floyd and BLM, because that's their fucking boogeyman. In defense of just the indefensible. New York prosecutors investigating Trump's Manhattan properties. Orange Man is indeed bad. I don't know what these people don't get. New York prosecutors are investigating financial dealings around some of Donald Trump's signature Manhattan properties, extending the known range of the criminal probe of the former president and his company, according to people familiar with the matter. The People said Manhattan prosecutors are examining loans Mr. Trump took out on his flagship Fifth Avenue building, Trump Tower, at 40 Wall Street. And it also includes Trump International Hotel and Tower and Trump Plaza. All of the loans are under scrutiny and were made to Mr. Trump by subsidiaries of Ladder Capital Corp., a New York City-based real estate investment trust, according to these anonymous sources. They are. That's what I've been saying it for months. If the motherfucker sees the inside of a jail, it's going to be something on New York tax fraud, tax evasion, some shit like that. Because that's the easiest fucking thing to prosecute on. It's cut and dry. There's no wiggle room. There's no getting out of it. It's the easiest records for them to obtain. Lawyers for Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization declined to comment. Mr. Trump has called the probe a partisan witch hunt, because of course he has. And despite all this and the multiple investigations, the criminal investigation in Georgia, Mitch McConnell saying that Trump needs to be criminally investigated and held to account in a court of law. Despite all this, Lindsey Graham apparently thinks that the Trump brand is still the future of the Republican Party.
Was a vibrant member of the Republican Party. The Trump movement is alive and well. People believe that he brought change to Washington. Policy-wise, it was long overdue. All I can say is that the most potent force in the Republican Party is President Trump. We need Trump plus.
Well, I will certainly say that you were not the most potent person in the Republican Party by far. Maybe one of the most impotent. No fucking way. Koch real estate investments? That shouldn't surprise me. That should not surprise me at all. Wasn't that motherfucker, because there's only one of them alive. I can't remember which Koch brother. It's Charles and David Koch. Charles is dead, right? David is alive. David was like talking about how he had contributed to all the strife in the country and he tore the country apart. Might have been Charles. I don't know. I think Charles died. I think David is the one that's still alive. But whichever one was still alive was in the fall giving interviews talking about how they were responsible for the partisan division in this country. Yes, they are. And still fucking doing it. God. It's class interest. It's the oligarchs banding together.
At the end of the day, I've been involved in politics for over 25 years. The president is a handful, and what happened on January 6th was terrible for the country, but he's not singularly to blame. Democrats have sat on the sidelines and watched the country be burned down for a year and a half. And
I've sucked a lot of dick. I've been around a lot of gay people. You can't tell me that man is not gay. He just called President Trump a handful. Only a gay man. A handful. Yes, President Trump is a handful. Oh my God.
That said a damn word, and most Republicans are tired of the hypocrisy. So no, Nikki's wrong about President Trump. North Carolina, the biggest winner, I think, of this whole impeachment trial is Laura Trump. My dear friend Richard Burr, who I like and
there you go,
friends to a long time, just made Laura Trump almost a certain nominee for the Senate seat in North Carolina to replace him if she runs, and I'll certainly be behind her because I think she represents the future of the Republican Party.
The woman that married Eric Trump. The woman that married Eric Trump. Oh my, you are quite the handful, Mr. President. Holy shit. All right, one of the things that I'm sure everybody is aware of is how less than a month of being in office, Biden has already completely destroyed the country. If you've been on any of the comment sections on Facebook, you're aware that everything's on fire. We've lost, 2 million jobs, 3 million jobs already? With a stroke of a pen. Thousands of jobs just in one day. Stroke of a pen. The Keystone XL pipeline was canceled by executive order by Biden. This has been going on for years. This is what Standing Rock was about during the Obama administration. It's one of the things that I'm by the way, Katie Porter was knocked off of the Financial Services Committee in the House, and I'm very upset about that. I have been praising the Democrats thus far. I've been very generous towards them, but removing Katie Porter upset me. But one of the things that I was proud of the Biden administration for was naming a protester that was at Standing Rock to be Interior Secretary, which I think goes a long way into why the Keystone XL pipeline has been canceled. A pipeline that is already it hasn't been finished yet. It's already ruptured a couple times. I don't understand the argument. First of all, the facts are that it's only like a handful of permanent jobs. The pipeline would eliminate thousands of trucker jobs. It's a Canadian company that's selling shell oil, which is hard to refine, to China. And we're just letting them put their pipeline along our land. Yeah, most of the permanent jobs are in Canada. I assume he was working on one of the 1.2 miles that have been built thus far. I don't even know how much has been built. I'll take your word for that one. I know it hasn't been that much, and it's already ruptured. But he was on Fox whining.
Let the thousands of fossil fuel industry workers, when it is and where it is that they can go for their green job.
Well, I'd certainly welcome you to present your data of all the thousands and thousands of people who won't be getting a green job.
Despite the Biden administration thinking otherwise, the impact of the Keystone XL pipeline cancellation is being felt by thousands of American workers.
Is it really now?
A laid-off Keystone welder of 34 years and a father of 3 boys. Lynn Allen joins us live. Lynn, thanks for being here. First off,
now, if he's a welder, then I thought he makes like I get welders all the time in the comment section. Well, I make $80 an hour. I make $100 an hour. What the fuck, Fox? God damn. Apparently, I can't pause Fox News clips without them
Lynn Allen joins us.
Fucking up on
Thanks
me.
for being here. First off, when you heard that flippant answer from Jen Psaki, what was
that
your reaction?
flipping answer?
It's a pretty good gut punch. You know, that kind of like a slap in the face. That's all you work for. What you work towards all your life, and that's your calling in life. And they telling you to go get another job and try to go get.
Do people really have that thick of an accent?
3 boys, 1 boy going to college, 2 younger boys who you say aren't too far behind. You know, I know that you're probably now facing the worry of how am I going to afford to put my sons through college and pay for their education and help them. I'm curious how they feel. Have they asked you questions about this? Have they expressed any sort of worry for you and for the family?
That sounds about 1.2 miles of pipeline.
Pretty good attitude.
PolitiFact is always reliable.
We'll believe.
Look at this motherfucker.
You know,
tell me this isn't a yuppie.
Very, very good attitude.
Right. Lynn, we've been addressing.
Look at that house. He's probably got 3 trucks, a boat.
The thought of just clean energy taking over. I want to talk about this father to father. I'm a new father. You obviously are a father of 3. One thing I keep on coming back to, as a father, your number one goal is to provide for
Seriously, Vizsla, I get told all the time, welders make $80 an hour and are in high demand. You should have went to trade school instead of college.
The rage that
so is this guy really going to have that hard of a time finding a job?
I think about it every day because my job that I've been a member of the 78 Pipeliners Union for 20 years, that's my insurance. And the thing about it is, it's a slap in the face is what it is. You work hard, you pay taxes, the trickle-down effect of these pipelines.
There you go.
Due to this XL,
it's not the government's job to provide you with a shitty pipeline job.
I mean, from the landowner all the way up to the welder, all the way up to the oil or gas company. And they can sit and say what they want to about green energy. It's just a side deal.
No, it's not.
Push the world. That's what flies.
The fuck it won't.
Big trucks. It's not solar and it's not wind. If they want wind and solar, they need to go to the desert out there and put them in the desert where there's nobody around, and that's just right for them. But they need to go do that and leave us oil and gas people at the oil field alone.
Wow, very powerful. Lynn Allen, thank
you.
Was
it?
Updated on how everything goes, on what...
It sounded stupid as fuck to me. I've argued with that very dumb fuck in the comment sections a million times. Generic Republican idiot. And they all complain about the same fucking shit. I mean, that's the they took our jobs guy from South Park. Motherfuck. Now, I hate to have to bring up Jim Jordan, and I have to remind everybody that he covered up sexual abuse at Ohio State College while he was a wrestling coach there. But here, in the middle of a deadly pandemic, which is killing thousands by the day, what does Jim Jordan think is the biggest problem facing this country?
When the San Francisco Board of Education said the Dianne Feinstein Elementary School will no longer be named after Senator Feinstein, a liberal icon, not good enough because 37 years ago she said something the cancel culture doesn't like. That's how ridiculous, that's how dangerous this is. And the latest one is Mr. Vanderveen, who did a great job defending the president. He's faced it now. But if we don't push back on this and stop it and stand up, as Mr. Dershowitz said, stand up for the Constitution and the First Amendment, it will only get worse. And so this is the number one issue for the country to address today.
It's number one issue for the country to address today. Healthcare crisis. A pandemic that is spiraling out of control. Now, we have plateaued somewhat, but we are staring down the barrel of a gun. We've got several horrific stories coming out. This one is the one that took me aback the most this morning. Guinea, West Africa, reporting that 3 are dead from Ebola. Their first cases since the outbreak ended in 2016. Janine Pirro is usually drunk on the air, and it makes for some really good content. Guinea was one of 3 West African nations to fight the world's deadliest Ebola epidemic that ended 5 years ago. It is not encouraging to have this outbreak happen while we're also, which it is, fucking thank God Trump's not in office. What if we were reading this story a year ago? Just like one person getting into this country, and it would just spread like wildfire. We would have never contained it. Guinea has officially declared that it has an Ebola epidemic after at least 3 people have died and 4 others have been infected. Neighboring Sierra Leone and Liberia have put their citizens on high alert as the 3 West African nations battled the world's deadliest Ebola outbreak from 2014 to 2016. Yeah. We had a very robust pandemic plan in place, a stockpile, a national stockpile. Oh, goddamn. And if you guys have access to HBO, or I'm sure it's up on YouTube, go watch the John Oliver piece from last night about the next pandemic. It'll make you shit your pants. Now, also, while it does seem that we are starting to maybe get a grip on the coronavirus, New Zealand enters first lockdown in 6 months after an unexplained COVID-19 case is found. Auckland has begun a 3-day lockdown following the discovery of 3 unexplained coronavirus cases in the community. Health officials said Monday the cases were of the more contagious variant, first found in Britain. and that genome testing hadn't linked them to any previous known cases. That's scary. Luckily, he does have some dealings with a previous Ebola outbreak. But I mean, thank God it's not Trump. Especially since we've got enough to deal with without having a government actively working against us. Missionaries in Brazil are turning tribes against the coronavirus vaccine because religion ruins everything. Plague Inc. No, I have not played that. I did, however, buy and play a Plague's Tale, or a Plague Tale, sometime last year, and that's a sleeper fucking game. That game was awesome. And like by the end, you become like the fucking Rat King and you command the rats and shit. Bleeding out your eyeballs, bleeding out your asshole. You're like fucking Ebola, like causes your guts to liquefy. And then you just like shit out all your innards. And that's how you die. Honestly, there are several historical precedents for this story. Medical teams working to immunize Brazil's remote indigenous villages against the coronavirus have encountered fierce resistance in some communities, where evangelical missionaries are stoking fears of the vaccines. No, it doesn't sound like a fun way to go, and yes, it does sound like a bullet to the head would be better. I don't exactly know about that. I don't. If I knew like I was terminal and I'm dying in the next few days, I don't know. Like, toss me out an airplane and let me fall. I don't know how to. I don't want to get really, really high. Get me a lot of drugs. Get me enough opiates to kill an elephant, and that is the way Justin Freakin wants to go out. Oh, shit. Well, fuck religious people who do shit like that. Meanwhile, Jennifer Gates, daughter of Bill Gates, who is trying to microchip all of us, got her vaccine today. Let me zoom out so we can see the caption here. She signed this with a PPS. Sadly, the vaccine did not implant my genius father into my brain. If only mRNA had that power. Shrooms and morphine. Yes, speedball straight into the void. She's been chipped since birth. But is this kind of ignorance? I mean, and while it's funny to see Jennifer Gates make fun of people, is this kind of ignorance that causes public outbreaks like this?
Anger turns to violence over mask mandates.
It's a sign of the times, man. It's crazy time.
Exactly. And then the DMT kicks in when you're dying? Fuck yeah. Sounds like fun.
Instead, she is seen slapping an employee. The victim says she was also called a vulgar name.
So she was just...
is asked to wear a mask. Instead, she is seen slapping an employee. The victim says...
Goddamn!
...called a vulgar name.
To slap somebody is beyond the pale.
This happened last Wednesday, February 3rd.
That sweet little old lady.
The suspect is irregular and had been repeatedly told to wear a mask. The problem solvers have learned during this incident the suspect allegedly claimed a medical exemption, at which point the worker says she offered other options for the woman to buy groceries.
I think she was just a witness.
Since running off last week, according to a
in Minecraft.
That's probably
You punch the trees.
anyway.
It just boils down to people don't want to be told what to do.
In a statement, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union...
I'm like the biggest rebel that's ever lived, you know? Like fucking... It was hard, like with all the anti-smoking shit that was going on in the mid-2000s. I'm like actually trying to quit smoking, but then like I see the anti-smoking commercial. I'm like, God, that makes me want a cigarette. A Twisted Tea moment is nigh.
Grocery workers are essential heroes and have been on the front lines during this entire pandemic at great personal risk. They deserve to work in safe environments, but unfortunately, that hasn't been the case.
I hope they find her, and I hope she is charged with something.
Well, if she's a regular...
Police, the slap did not hurt, but she is pressing for the customer to be charged with harassment.
I have tried that Jeremiah weed tea.
And I did speak to that worker on the phone today, but she did not want to go on camera. We reached out to King Soopers for a statement, but we have not heard back. If you know anything, if you recognize the woman in that surveillance video.
But they say she was a regular. So how the fuck do they not know who she is? Yet more anti-mask disputes, this time in a gym. I believe this one happened in Illinois, Edgewater, Illinois.
Walk away. Then I'll push you away.
This video filmed by Anytime Fitness goers last Thursday in Edgewater is just a snippet, roughly 5 minutes of a confrontation that lasted hours.
If you were
hours?
Shut and not playing games, I would be working out.
A man angry over a trainer's mask enforcement hurls pushes and more expletives.
It's a joke. You're ruining my country.
The guy at the receiving end of all of this with his hands up, Adrian Aguilar.
Hands up, knowing that would send him the signal, I don't want to hurt you, I don't want to fight you, I don't want to come.
I have no clue. I don't know why anybody's doing anything right now that's like extracurricular.
We're very strict about mask protocol.
And are signs posted places?
Oh yeah, everywhere.
You go to the liquor store, you go to the grocery store, you go to your pot dealer, you go home.
He was wearing one when he needed to.
It was on when I was working out. It's down.
Well, and like you're at a break, you're...
Aguilar, the only staff member at the time, says he and Myers called police, but officers arrested
blowing
This video has since been seen by thousands on social media.
Particles out everywhere.
I would have fought him. I hope that this is a good example to show that you don't have to, and violence is not.
But I mean, like, you also, like, I feel sorry for the gym owner. You got to give them financial support in order to let them close down. And unfortunately, the only people going to gyms and shit right now are the dickheads, and you get incidents like this. Now, hold on. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I did not do a show. I made a bunch of overlays for the show, and I made one for Valentine's Day before I realized that Valentine's was on Sunday. So, just for this story, we're going to switch to the Valentine's overlay for our special Valentine's story we're doing here. The LAPD investigating claim of George Floyd Valentine-style photo passed around department. Los Angeles Police Department administration has launched an internal investigation after it was alleged that an offensive Valentine-style photo was circulating around the department of George Floyd. Here's an activist speaking about the photo scandal.
Is outraged. They're devastated. And they sent a statement for me to read on their behalf. But we also want everyone to know we're not here to condemn or attack the LAPD. We simply want to hold them accountable and to their credit.
I do. I condemn them. I want to attack them. Have you read the fucking history of the LAPD?
For not tolerating this type of behavior within this department. We also commend Chief Moore for speaking out and saying there will be zero tolerance of anyone mocking someone's death.
I would hope so. Let's find out what the The photo of Floyd, who died when a Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck on May 31st, included the words, "You take my breath away." The complaining officer was scheduled to be interviewed on Monday, according to LAPD Chief Michael Moore. Different Michael Moore. It appears the photo and a possible post on social media originated out of the department's Harbor Patrol Division. Chief Moore was disgusted by the post and directed that a department complaint be generated. Department officials said Saturday that any actual postings in the workplace had not yet been confirmed. Yeah. So, Valentine picture with the words, "You take my breath away." This is why we need to defund the police. Fucking bullshit like this. And other bullshit. Like finding out that they wanted to gas protesters.
After the arrest of 18 protesters now charged as a street gang.
Police and prosecutors deny labeling those protesters a gang and aggressively charging them is politically motivated. But this new video is not going to help their argument.
Defense attorneys say the officers' comments are disparaging and violent and show disrespect and disdain for First Amendment rights. ABC 15 investigator Dave Biskobing has the video so you can...
The Qatar gang.
Now, this video, a conversation after an arrest, is not something we might normally air, but it's now evidence in the case. And along with the challenge coin we exposed for celebrating the shooting of a protester in 2017, this is the type of evidence that will be used to argue Phoenix officers.
A challenge coin that celebrated shooting a protester.
Protesters and those on the left side of politics.
From beginning to end. The apparently accidental recording captures 3 Phoenix police officers talking for 16 minutes, just after the arrest of this group of protesters in mid-October. It's a group Phoenix and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office testified were comparable to the Bloods, the Crips, and Hell's Angels. Now, first, a warning. While we're bleeping out...
Oh, because they said ACAB.
You might not want your kids to hear this. The officers who played a secondary role in the arrest this night begin talking about the protests.
Dude, I'm so sick of this. Public is so sick of it too.
Yeah, they are.
Dude, there was like, what, 20 to 40 people?
Yeah, if that. They're a bunch of...
We just stomp on them when they were leaving.
Thank you.
Stomp on them right away.
Had them at the thing, they're like, hey, those backpacks look heavy. They're passing stuff out. It doesn't look good. As soon as that first smoke bomb hit,
done.
Done.
And
we need a camera
gas them. I don't give we just gas them and let them run like crazy.
Exactly.
You know,
just Mark 9 them, gas them, and be done with it.
Beat the shit out of them. Who gives a shit?
As part of
Beat the shit out of them. Who gives a shit?
Phoenix officers celebrated shooting a protester with a pepper ball in 2017 by owning, sharing, and selling this challenge coin. Now there's an outside investigation. But back to the quote, gang of protesters. Phoenix and MCAO call them the ACAB.
I think I did see something about something like that.
1, they chanted ACAB or all cops are bastards. 2, wore mostly black.
Ah, that's awesome.
Umbrellas, a common protest trick to block pepper.
So they were black blocks.
I haven't seen the umbrella tricks yet. That's the
Yeah,
umbrella.
That was new.
Walk right by us.
That's a new thing.
Still, you make it go up in the air and come down on them, and still get on them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was worried that, I told Boss, I watched Batman. I saw what Penguin did with that umbrella. He's got a gun behind the umbrella.
I'm waiting for them to just turn totally violent.
Yeah. Oh, it's been happening.
Exactly.
As a reminder, a judge in the hearing in this case did not find the group's actions violent that night.
But the court does not believe that was a threat of violence.
Another part of the officers' conversation was the 3 talking about body cameras and why
using the penguin as justification is pretty far out.
We actually want to do the job, like we did 10, 15 years ago.
All right, everybody.
But it's never going to come back.
Everyone's going to 5. Clear out.
If it ever came back and they said, guys, just kick some out out there and reduce crime?
Yeah.
I'd say, okay.
So you won't be in handcuffs and doing your job?
Right.
Going, oh, let me go watch that body cam video just in case he might have struck somebody. You guys on? Yeah. I remember back.
This is insane. This is all of their fucking attitudes too. The cops despise you.
If I had to just pick one thing, there's
and if you're in a traffic position here at the intersection, just stay until
It's taking away so much of our discretion to be cool with people. Like little bags of dope and stuff where we would grind it into the ground and go, hey.
Or the meth pipe.
Yeah, or the pipe.
It's like listening to my self-talk.
At the end.
Oh, they used to show discretion with people that were on meth. Yeah, sure.
Go home.
Go home. I do.
I want to.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Liberal pieces of shit.
Now, to reemphasize two things.
Cops are
Rank
Nazis.
and file officers don't like wearing body cameras because they can't do what they used to do.
Yes.
At a time when Phoenix's use of force has become a serious concern. And two, this is the type of evidence police and prosecutors will have to overcome to prove they're not wildly exaggerating and lying when it comes to comparing this group to deadly, long-standing...
But they are. They are indeed lying.
And aggressive prosecutions are not politically motivated. Now, this issue is not going away. We have more to come. So now might be a good time.
Fucking good. Keep investigating him. Because they keep coming up with just crazy ass fucking tactics. Like, apparently this cop is a really big fan of Sublime. Police officers in Beverly Hills have been playing music while being filmed, seemingly in an effort to trigger Instagram's copyright filters. Holy shit. I like Caress Me Down. That's my favorite Sublime song. Santeria might be like one of my least favorite Sublime songs. Last Friday, a man entered the Beverly Hills Police Department only to be treated to a mini DJ set that could potentially get his Instagram account banned. Senate Devermont was at the department to file a form to obtain body camera footage from an incident in which he received a ticket he felt was unfair. Devermont also happens to be a well-known LA area activist who regularly live streams protests and interactions with police. So he streamed his visit as well, and that's when things got weird. In the video posted on his Instagram account, we see mostly cordial conversation between Devermont and the BHPD Sergeant Billy Fair. It turns a corner when Fair becomes upset that Devermont is live streaming the interaction, including showing work contact information for another officer. Fair asks how many people are watching, to which Devermont replies, "Enough." Fair then stops answering questions, pulls out his phone, and starts silently swiping around, and that's when ska music starts playing. Fair boosts the volume and continues staring at his phone for nearly a full minute. Fair is silent and only starts speaking after we're a good way through Sublime Santeria. Wait a minute, is he calling Sublime ska? Ooh, April 29th, 1992 is a fantastic song to play in a police department. Though it is kind of about how, like, there's all this crazy social change going on around him, and he's just a scumbag that only cares about stealing from a pawn shop. But the song is like a snapshot in time. Plays licensed music while I ask him questions. I'm not going to play the video. Assuming that Fair wasn't just trying to share his love of 90s stoner music with the citizens of Beverly Hills, this seems to be an intentional, if misguided, tactic to use social media companies' copyright protection policies to prevent himself from being filmed. It was weird that he would, in such a mundane interaction, that he would give his tactic away like this, where it would be so blatantly obvious. Yeah, that's a good point about DCMA laws. Now that's do that to Diana Ploss. That's smart. In May of last year, Instagram clarified its policies on including music in live streams and began to advise people to only use short clips of music and to ensure that there is a visual component to videos. Recorded audio should not be the primary purpose of the video. So yeah, Instagram is letting people like dance around to videos. They're trying to be like TikTok. All right, crazy story out of North Carolina. Because cops are fucking useless. If you can't depend on them, you gotta take matters into your own hand, like this fucking 12-year-old did. Oh, is this just music? Oh, they're not actually gonna tell us the story. I'll read it to you then. A 12-year-old in North Carolina fatally shot an intruder early Saturday after his grandmother was also shot during the home invasion. At around 1 a.m., officers responded to a shooting report in Goldsboro. Officers found Linda Ellis, 73, suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. Officers said 2 masked men forced their way into Ellis's residence, demanding money. Police said at least one of the men was armed and shot Ellis. Ellis was treated for non-life-threatening injuries and is listed in stable condition. Police later determined that the juvenile fired at the 2 men with a firearm in self-defense, causing them to flee from the home. Wait, what? Okay, I was about to say charges against the 12-year-old, because when I saw charges against the 12-year-old, I'm like, what? Charges against the 12-year-old who fired the gun are not anticipated by police. Ellis was identified as the boy's grandmother. The investigation is ongoing. So, good job, little buddy. Way to take care of your grandmother. Motherfucker! Oh my God! This tweet from @MrAndyNGO has been withheld in response to a report from the copyright holder. Oh no! The video was of Antifa in Seattle, I believe it was. It might have been Portland. I think it was Seattle. It was Seattle. Maybe. No, it might have been. I can't remember. So here we go from the Sun. Shock moment. Antifa barricades Seattle police precinct with snow to stop cops from responding to storm emergencies. I'm okay with it. Give 12-year-olds guns. As long as poor people have guns, as long as the proletariat is armed, I'm down with it. My problem right now with guns is that a black person can't walk down the street open carrying. So as long as that is the case, as long as a black person can't walk down the street and open carry, I'm going to call the cops on every white person I see open carrying. Sorry. Does kind of sound like a job for the fire department, doesn't it? So this was Antifa blocking in the police department. The video Andy NGO had up was better. Because they tried to drive through it and they kind of got stuck. They looked stupid. That's why I wanted to use that video. So that was in Seattle. Also, Andy No, by the way, is how you say his name. I just always say Andy NGO. I do little quirks like that. Andy No has been fired 3 times for lying. So if you ever see Andy No post something, you automatically assume the opposite is true. Do they have 12-year-olds with guns in other countries? I thought like 14 in Sweden. That's a good question. Also, it was a cop car they were trying to pull out. It wasn't like an SUV. I honestly don't know if it was actually Antifa. It could just been some mischievous kids, couldn't it have? And then Fox and the Sun running with it, trying to make it out to be something that it's not. So, a lot of the country today dealing with weather they're not used to. And, like, it looks like nothing is wrong in this picture, right? I shouldn't laugh. That fucking hurts. Oh my god, I bet that hurt. Yeah, this was the kind of Antifa that was in the Capitol. The non-existent Antifa. Oh yeah, I would cry. Like, fuck. There is nothing worse than hurting your, like, ass bone. I mean, I don't blame him. It looks like there's nothing wrong. I think they're both laughing about it, so hopefully, like, nobody was seriously injured. He did try to kind of grab it, didn't he? No, he went straight down the middle. Definitely several people having trouble today. That's not that's not the right video. It was supposed to be a truck sliding around on the road, but I copied the wrong link. So anyway, over the weekend, Super Bowl champion Tom Brady was apparently in some kind of a boat parade in Naples, Florida. And the family of the woman...
Coors Light proudly supports the black community.
Fuck! Coors Light, my ass. The family of the person who designed the Vince Lombardi trophy or some shit is really upset about him doing this shit.
Chris Godwin, Gronkowski, and Mike Evans on board that boat there. They just passed off the Lombardi.
Looks like that woman has a MAGA hat on.
When we got that close to it. Thanks, Captain Lou. Freedom Boat Club.
What is it with these Trump supporters and their boat parade? What the... Did I skip over it? Trying to skip past the... It cut it... The commercial cut it off. I'm sorry.
That was the most important catch of the season right there.
The video... What a rip. They played this fucking commercial over it. That's what I get for trying to get around their shit. But apparently Brady was over here on this other boat and he threw the fucking trophy over to him. We can find that one really fast. This was going to be my last story of the day. But I do have the video of it. Like, it's old news now, but it's totally a video that you know I would play. But everybody's seen it. It's the cat lawyer. But if you want to watch the cat lawyer, we will totally watch it. So, there's Brady. wow. I thought like that thing like, cause like it's the same trophy, right? Like the team has the same trophy. Like that's the trophy that's been around for years. Correct? Or am I wrong on that one? Do they make a new one each year? So there's like this storied tradition of a fucking trophy that's been, what, 50 fucking years? Holy shit. And he's just throwing it around. What an asshole. God damn. So, yeah, I tried to get producer Dave to zoom in at the end of the show and use the cat filter.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
Oh, so it's not the same trophy. They make a new one each year? It's the Stanley Cup, though. It's always the same Stanley Cup. Okay, yeah, okay. But yeah, that Stanley Cup has been around the whole time, and they fucking... It does like a tour or something, right? I don't fucking know sports. I'm depending on you guys. But yeah, Cat Lawyer, I was going to get Dave to call in or zoom into the show with a cat filter on. Because I like having fun with cat stories. You could say this lawyer had a real catastrophe. Alright, that's going to do it for me. If you guys are on Twitch, I'm going to send you over to my good friends at Proudly Radical. I'll stick around for a little bit. It is a great video, isn't it? So go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.